Welcome in to the KSL Sports front page. Tom Hackett, Hema, Heimuli, Hema. By the way, you can find Hema at X_Hems on Twitter. This broadcast brought to you by, of course, our good friends at the University Federal Credit Union. Rather, Hem, what are you wearing?
So, Tommy, I am. What are you talking about? This is. I'm just chilling in the office. Just wearing what I usually wear at the office. So
yeah. No, well,
sure.
I mean, it looks good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a little Pikachu outfit I have on, direct from Japan. Interesting. I was thinking about this, dude. If it weren't for the whole virus thing, you'd be in Japan, wouldn't you? Right now?
Yes. I'd be coming back soon. I would have left on the 14th of April. So I'd be coming back any day now. Maybe I'd already be home. I don't know. I can't remember when I was meant to come back, but yeah, I was meant to be in Japan, dude. And so I could have picked you up another Pikachu outfit and kind of added to your collection because I think it looks great. It really suits you. And
thank you.
You look well. By the way, if you're watching this on our Facebook page or on YouTube, we are on YouTube at the minute. We're live. Feel free to comment, and we'll answer any and all questions that we can get to. But we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, Tom Hackett, Hema Heimuli. Hema Chu is his name today. Call him that. Now, we've got a fair bit going on. Obviously, the KSL Sports front page is all about kind of the news and notes that you may have missed over the weekend. It's Monday, let's not forget. So there's a bit. First of all, Hema, may the 4th be with you. Happy 4th of May, my friend.
Perfect. As you know, I'm a big nerd as far as like pop culture goes, and
yes,
we talk a lot about that stuff on our podcast, Sports Beat After Hours. But yeah, happy May the 4th. It's a shame that there's no soccer that we could watch today.
I know.
Because May the 4th is best celebrated on the pitch.
This is true. As you can see, Real Salt Lake celebrated it. Utah State football came out with a video. Even the Salt Lake City Stars, believe it or not, and the Grizzlies are getting involved. So it's a very special day. It's a day, Hema, I like to say, when if you're on social media and you don't have a ton of personality, this is the perfect day for you because you don't have to really come up with much original content to get involved, do you?
No, sir. But wow, there's some really cool edits, it looks like, on the KSLSports.com front page. That's pretty sweet.
It is. These teams going to work.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a good time. I think, by the way, do you have Disney Plus?
I don't have Disney Plus. I have basically everything but Disney Plus, Ham.
Okay. So on Disney Plus, they're releasing the Rise of Skywalker today, so people can watch the newest Star Wars installment that just came out like a little bit ago last year. So that's kind of cool.
That is, and I've heard they're releasing kind of like a Mandalorian behind the scenes series.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
Does that come out today or is that later?
Yeah, today. Yep.
Oh,
on May the 4th. Yeah, so all that stuff's out. People can watch it when they're done looking at KSLSports.com, of course.
Yes, very much so. In other news that people may care about, Don Shula, unfortunately, the legendary coach, of course, best known at the Miami Dolphins, passed away today at his home. He was 90. What a career he had. What a man he became. A legend in the footballing world, didn't he?
Yes, Don Shula, legendary. Most wins, I think, for a head coach in the league. And actually, it's funny that you bring this up because in about 20 minutes from now, I'm going to record a segment with our very own Scott Mitchell, where he's going to talk about Coach Shula and how those two crossed paths in the NFL. Maybe a few lighthearted stories will be shared. So for those of you watching, stay tuned for that. We're going to have that up tonight on KSL TV Channel 5. So that'll
there you go. Nice little plug there. By the way, I do apologize. This happens to me every time I host, Hema. It's these ads keep popping up, and of course here we got Keeps. I'm losing my hair, and so I check out Keeps every now. I do apologize to all the viewers that have to deal with that. Hey, before we go on from Shula, it's worth noting that, and this is well documented, but he's the only coach in NFL history to coach a perfect season. 17-0.
Oh, wow.
The Dolphins went in 1972. I know Scott Mitchell's pretty old, but I don't think he was playing in 1972. Unfortunately, they won the Super Bowl again the next year as well. That season they finished 15-2 in 73. So he's a legend of the game, and we send our well wishes to all family and friends in the entire NFL community for Coach Shula. What else is there, Hem, that we need to get to? I thought this was cool. Now, and we'll get to some BYU stuff because you're a BYU man, but this is wild to me that ESPN, and granted it's this whole FPI nonsense, their football power index, which really doesn't mean anything, I guess, but they've got them going 9-4, which would be tied for the best record in the South with USC, second best in the entire Pac-12, only behind Oregon, who they see finishing 11-2 in 2020. Assuming we have a 2020 season, do you think this is accurate, Hema?
I think so. We were talking about this, me and the rest of the Sports Beat guys earlier. What this upcoming season is going to look like. A lot of questions, obviously, since we have the draft recently. A lot of powerhouse youth defensive players were drafted. So there's a lot of gaps to be filled on the defensive side of the ball. But I argued that maybe the offense will be a surprising strong suit for the youth this season. And so no, a 9-4 season record doesn't really surprise me because the youth have been good for so long recently. But I could completely see it happening that way. What did you think? What do you think about how are the youths going to deal with all the losses in personnel this season?
Well, I think anytime you lose a ton of experience, Hema, a lot of people like to turn to optimism as opposed to pessimism, and I'm one of them. So I can see it. I can see it going really well for the youths. You bring in a bunch of guys that really don't have much experience, and you hope that, I guess, their naivety kind of gets the better of them, and they forget about all of the hype and the madness that surrounds college football. They just go out and play. And if they can find a way to do that, then they're talented enough to do really well and win the Pac-12 South and have another chance, third year in a row, hopefully, at a Pac-12 championship game. But, the scary thought is also, and I guess the more pessimistic side of things would be, you lose a bunch of talent, you have a bunch of new guys come in, it takes them a while to kind of get the speed of the game under their belt, and maybe they don't win many games at all. So I think they're either gonna really outperform what a lot of people assume and win a ton of football games, or they're not going to win many at all. I don't think they're going to have one of those years where they kind of sit in the middle of the Pac-12 at 6-6. I think it's either really good or really bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that they'll be top 1 or 2 in the South. Obviously, the South is kind of trash, right? Arizona State's going to suck. UCLA is going to suck. Colorado sucks. But I think the youths can be surprising on the offensive side of the ball because, you got a lot of returning starters. Solomon Enos, Samson Nakua, Jalen Dixon on the receiver side. Keithy's coming back. Then, the quarterback spot is the most questionable spot, but I've heard a lot of hype coming from this Cam Rising, and I think that if he shows out the way I think he's going to show out, the offense is going to not lose a step. I think they might be a little better being experienced. So I don't know. I think 9-4 is realistic. I think, coming from a Cougar fan, I think the youths are going to be just fine this year.
Well, I think most Utah fans, if they heard that they would go 9-4 in 2020, they'd probably take it. I think that would please most people. You mentioned BYU. There was some BYU news that broke today. Hema Chu, the old BYU Marriott Center's getting a bit of an upgrade here.
Oh, yes. And let's be honest, a lot of BYU's facilities need an upgrade bad. I was hoping that the football locker rooms would get an upgrade. Maybe that's going to wait for later news this year. But installing a new seating in the upper deck, that's kind of cool, I think. I honestly don't have like the inside information that our very own Mitch Harper has. But, if the improvements make the experience of a BYU basketball game that much better, that'll be great for recruiting, for BYU, the health of the program for BYU basketball in the future. And I think that's really important. Mark Pope has this program turned around. And so if we can just keep going in this upward trajectory, the future looks great for BYU basketball for sure.
BYU basketball is doing pretty well for themselves. You're certainly correct there. That's a nice reward, I guess, for all of the effort that Mark Pope and the administration has put in. They sell out most weeks, and so finally the fans now can sit in some new seats. I don't know if they have cushions, but they'll be newer at least. Hey, so Dr. Anthony Fauci, he's been making the headlines. He's kind of this leading health expert that the White House has been following. He came out over the weekend and mentioned that he thinks it's going to be, quote, very difficult for sports to return this year unless, now there is a catch, and of course this comes from the New York Times. He basically says that if scientists cannot figure out a way to test athletes and have the results of that test return immediately, then there's no way that it's going to be safe enough to return to any sport, which is incredibly scary to hear. But do you have faith, Hema, in the scientists?
I do have faith in the scientists, but I do know that it does take a while for these reliable testing procedures to be fine-tuned and capable enough to be able to mass produce and to give us enough information on the health of people all over the country. So I am optimistic that some sports will return. I mean, we're already seeing NASCAR set to return. There's some dates for some golf competitions already set. But those are some sports where it's not really necessary to have a crowd watching. College basketball and college football, especially, that's a different story. A lot of the revenue comes from ticket sales, and numbers that they use for budgeting comes from sellouts and things like that. So it'll be I don't want to say I'm pessimistic, but I don't seem optimistic that football will return as normal as I would like it to. I don't know. What about you? Do you think we're ready for football to come back?
No. Heavens, no. I don't think we're ready for football. I think it's going to be a slow and methodical return. I wrote this article actually this afternoon. How when sports eventually does return, will the viewing experience actually be better than what it was prior to the pandemic starting? So I think golf needs to return, because I think golf, they practice social distancing on the golf course, regardless of what time of year or what year it is. They've been doing it for decades now. And same with NASCAR. You sanitize the car. You probably don't have crowds of hundreds of thousands of people filling NASCAR tracks, but you're inside your own car. So, from the health and safety standpoint of the driver, it's fine. But football's different. Basketball's different. These are sports where you come into contact with other individuals from other teams, and, you sweat, and that sweat drips on, a teammate of yours or an opposing player. I think that's where you kind of you start to bleed. You get cut open, and next thing you know, you got blood on your hand. You wipe your hand on your face. That's kind of problematic, right? So unless they can find a way to test people and get an immediate response, I I have to agree with what Dr. Anthony Fauci says and say that, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. But I do think that, technology in today's day and age is so good that I'm hoping, it's expedited and this whole process is faster than what they're telling us. I hope that they're telling us kind of worst case scenario, not best case scenario. That's kind of my method.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, with the projections at the beginning of this outbreak, right? Things were slated to be a lot worse than they currently are. Now, knock on wood, I hope that nothing gets worse, as I say this. But
right.
The outlook is looking better than what I originally thought. And so hopefully I'm wrong about the return of big ticket sports like football and basketball. I think, if things are better than they seem, cool. I'm all for that. But I think we still need to be careful. But we will be, like you said, we're going to be able to enjoy some sports, golf, NASCAR. I think tennis should be able to come back, right? I mean, let's be honest. D1 tennis players don't really get coverage anyways, and most of their tournaments aren't really covered. There's not a lot of people there, just the teams. Like, there will be competitive sports to watch. Just not the ones that I'd like to see. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it. You're not the only one. I do hope after this pandemic's over, or at least the dust has settled, that, the fan that likes to stand up and scream and while screaming spit chewed up hot dog bun that was that remained in his mouth all over the spectators in front of him. I hope that can kind of limit itself and people don't get too carried away. In this article at the end of it, I kind of reference that a referee or an official has never overturned a call based on Kevin from the third row in seat 28. It just doesn't happen. So let's make all the noise we can, but try not to spit while doing so. Hey, before we got out of here, you wanted to talk about the 2008 Sugar Bomb, the re-airing of that. I'm going to try to find that while you talk about it, because you've got a comment for Sly, don't you?
Yeah, I just got to call out my boy Sly. I was just watching the re-airing, and he almost had a pick, and it literally hit him in the hands. And he couldn't believe he dropped it. I couldn't believe he dropped it because he is a baller. So I just want to shout out Sly. Shout out to you, buddy. I saw that drop. But the re-airing was great, and just before that was the TCU game, the come from behind. It was the doink off of the upright. There was the TCU almost won it on 2 field goals, and they doinked the first one, and the second one didn't quite make it. It was great. Riveting television. It was fun to relive those moments for sure.
I know, it's always nice. There's Spencer Linton, JJ on KSL. You can catch Sports Beat every weekend on Channel 5. Best sport coverage you can find. Stevenson Sylvester played on the defensive side of the ball for good reason, though. Hema, he's got bricks for hands, and it's just the nature of the beast for old Sly, but he hangs in there. Before we go, it's worth noting, lastly, that MLS has announced individual voluntary player workouts will begin on May 6th. And that is the good news. And it's always nice to leave our followers, with some good news. So I figured this would be today's KSLSports.com good news of the day, if you will. So we're slowly, methodically, kind of tediously returning to normalcy, although it's going to take some time. But it's just nice to maybe take a few steps in the right direction. There is light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Absolutely. Still lots of sports to be had. While we're waiting for regular sports to return, it's fun to get little bits of good news like this. I can't wait to see RSL back on the pitch. But also, in the meantime, reliving past memories from our beloved teams locally. You can find all that here at KSLSports.com and on TV on Channel 5. And hopefully, everyone's staying safe out there, and we'll get to enjoy real live sports really soon.
Very much so. So don't forget, as I mentioned at the top of the show, don't forget to follow Hema on Twitter at @X_Hems. Call him Pikachu today, not tomorrow. He'll have a different character then. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to his podcast, Sports Beat After Hours. Himself, Zach Hicken, a couple of very talented producers of ours, do tremendous work over there. And they'd love your support. I'm Tom Hackett. That's Hema Chu. This has been the KSL Sports front page, brought to you by the University Federal Credit Union. Hema, be well, my friend. It's been so good to see you. It's been too long.
You too, brother.
See you guys.